what do you do with your amaryllis that are outdoors before the winter, and how do you get them to bloom again? It's really easy. So before real cold weather sets in, it really doesn't matter where you live. And even if you live in warmer climates, you can take your outdoor amaryllis, and there's a certain way you can treat them, and they will bloom again once you're done. So you just go out, I like these old-fashioned shovels, and you just dig the amaryllis. And I'll tell you, my dad did something really kind of unique with the amaryllis this year. Instead of planting one here, here, and spacing them out in the containers, he clustered them. So here he's got 5 bulbs. In some containers, we have 6 bulbs all in this area. So you're going to dig this gently and remove these, and what you're going to end up with is something like this. And 1, 2, again, 5 bulbs, and well, the shovel had to fall. But here you just take your bulbs and you shake the soil. I put a durable piece of wood here, and you're going to find that they have lots of roots. Now, sometimes before I take them out of the container, I'll take a shears, and I always make sure that the shears is nice and sharp, and I'll come in and I will just prune these short before I dig them. In this case, I wanted to dig them first. It gave me something to grab and to shake. And as you see, they produce, look at the roots on this here. Then, when you're done, you can then shear them. Now I will tell you, when I'm cutting foliage, and these I don't have to divide, axes really don't work the best. There's too wide of a cutting point. So, when I trim them, I really like meat cleavers. Nice and narrow, and they do a great job. I always recommend you put one hand behind your back. I've made the mistake by having amaryllis or other plants set to trim, and for some reason, you know, this amaryllis rolls to the side, and instinctively I want to go and stop it. But I just set them like this, and you just come in. You can use also a sharp razor if you want. So this is what you're going to end up with. Depending on the size you started with, some will be bigger. Shake all the roots, just like this. Then you're going to take your meat cleaver, and I'm going to trim some of these roots, because what I'm going to do next is prepare these for drying. So I'm going to come in, and I'll leave some roots, sometimes a little longer. And I'm probably going to end up, this is another one that I dug up. Nice big bulb, different variety. Then I'm going to come in and remove the foliage. You can even use the shears. This is so sharp you can even go like this. And this is what I'm going to have. Now, you're not going to divide them, but if you look carefully at these bulbs, they have made new babies from the bottom. So maybe in a year or two, I could divide. You're going to dry these off. You're going to put them in a place that does not freeze, probably a place above 45 degrees or 45 degrees. You can even put these in paper bags, each one in a little paper bag, and you're going to let them dry for about 6 weeks to 2 months. So if you were to dig these up September 1st, then November 1st, after 2 months of drying, you would pot these. Remember with amaryllis, they don't like a big pot. And that's one thing we found. When Dad clustered all these amaryllis together, it's not like they were in a big pot. They were all together in their own little spaces. So I would probably put this in a container, maybe 2 or 3 inches wider than this. And when you put them in a container, if you can use gravel, you can use pebbles, you can use soil. If you use soil, you're going to get the level of the soil up to about this point on the neck of the bulb. And from the time that you pot these, after 2 months on average of drying, in about 6 weeks to 2 months after that, they're going to send stems, up to 2 or 3 stems with buds, and they're going to bloom for you indoors. It's really that easy. And I will keep these year after year, and there's more babies even here. Right at the base of this, this really is a baby. Now, if you really want to know how to propagate them, a lot of them are grown in Peru now. They divide them. There's side shoots that, because they're growing them in 8 to 10 months of warm weather, and there's side shoots and they break them off. But some people also propagate them by leaf cuttings. And they stick that in soil. So some people do it that way. They're also cloned or tissue cultured, especially if they're newer varieties. Getting back to one important point on amaryllis, when you look at where they're growing in certain parts of the world, they do not like excessive water. So it's one of those no-brainer plants that you don't want to overwater. If you overwater your amaryllis, they're not going to do as well. So it's a great plant for people that they think they have a purple or a black thumb, and they don't think they can grow anything. I know so many people that say, I don't have a green thumb. Everything I pot up dies. Well, amaryllis are really tough, and they really don't like a lot of water. So it's important not to overwater them. I'm Mark Viette, and I live here in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley. And anybody who has amaryllis, either in the soil in the garden or in containers, can save them year after year.